Welcome to Fantasy Grounds Quick. In this video, we will look at the campaign options. To see your campaign options, click on the gear icon underneath the tool folder in the sidebar. Wow, that's a lot of options. Let's collapse each of these groups by clicking on the minus symbol to the left of each group. Campaign options cover a wide variety of features in Fantasy Grounds. Our goal is to not cover every single option, but instead focus on a couple that I found personally useful. Let's start by looking at the game options. First is the GM voice option. When turned on, your identity will change to the name of any NPC which becomes active in the combat tracker. You can always manually select your chat identity by using the dropdown or the ID command. Let's skip down to the Show GM Roles option. When turned off, any dice you roll will be masked from the players. Let's open an instance of a player view to see what this looks like. We can turn this option on to have all of our roles visible to players. The Show Results to Player option is very similar. Anytime you roll an attack or saving throw, Fantasy Grounds will create a summary of that action in chat. By default, this message is invisible to the players. If we turn this on, the players will be able to see if their attacks hit or miss an enemy, and vice versa if an enemy's attacks hit or miss them. A fun option for your campaign is the Dice Tower. It allows players to roll a dice in secret. Only the GM will see the result. When enabled, a dice icon will appear in the player's Fantasy Grounds. Simply drag a dice over to the Dice Tower and release it to roll in the Dice Tower. Next, let's look at the combat options. The Ally Health display gives you multiple options of displaying the health of an allied creature. For the detailed selection, are players able to see the exact HP and wound numbers of any ally creature in their combat tracker. We can change this to a status message or turn it off entirely. Skipping down, we have the same option but for enemy creatures. The NPC Rolls option determines whether you want to roll for NPC damage or take the average damage of an attack. The next set of options are for displaying tokens on maps. I'll pull up a map in the player client so that we can see what each option does. Tokens have two main properties, effects and health. You can set for both allies and enemies how you want to display each property. For effects, you can toggle between individual icons, a single mark that shows a list of all the effects, or to turn them off entirely. For health, you can choose between a colored status dot, a health bar, or hiding it completely. Further down, we have the party vision and movement. By default, this is set to off. Normally, a player will be only able to move and see the map through their own token. If we set this to on, they will be able to see and move through the map with any other allied token. In this instance, this character has dark vision and so is able to see more of the map. Finally, we have the Show Name option. This lets you configure how token names appear on the map. At the bottom of the options window, there are multiple buttons. Background decal allows you to customize the decal of your fantasy grounds for you and your players. Currencies lets you add, override, or remove any currencies. The language button allows you to set languages and fonts for those languages to use. You can even download custom fonts for Fantasy Grounds. The Message of the Day button allows you to make a custom greeting for your players whenever they log into Fantasy Grounds. The last option we will look at is Death Markers. When an NPC is killed and removed from the combat tracker, the map will display a death marker where that creature died. Here, you can configure what type of marker displays when a creature dies. You can always clear death markers from the map by going to the image record, and in the toolbar, selecting the Clear Death Markers button. That's the general overview of the campaign options. If you would like to learn more about options, I have placed a link in the video description for the Fantasy Grounds Unity Wiki page that goes into more detail. In the next video, I'll show you how to make custom items and NPCs for your campaigns.